We will pay. The Guthrie family is back in front of the cameras for the world to see with a very clear message that they're willing to fork up money for proof of life and in return for their mother, Nancy Guthrie. If money's what it takes to bring Nancy Guthrie home, they say that they are ready. This is just developing late this evening as investigators now acknowledge ransom notes, missing cameras, and a possible person of interest tied to a Circle K convenience store in Tucson.
Welcome to the global phenomenon, Surviving the Survivor. Here's your host, Emmy Award-winning journalist, Joel Waldman.
What's up, SDS Nation? Welcome to Surviving the Survivor. This is the global phenomenon, bringing you the very best guests in all of true crime. And I'm back at global headquarters in Miami Beach, and it has never felt so good. But one thing I don't have is a global phenomenon, is global entry. And I almost had an absolute heart attack when I landed, thinking I might have to wait for 9 hours to get through customs. The COE is on it. We're getting that because could have been real problematic. But I raced over here. Shout out to the COE for bearing with me. I was an absolute nightmare over the last 48 hours. We were away, supposed to be having fun, and I was doing anything but, because I'm obsessed with this case and wanted to bring it to SDS Nation. So I basically was incredibly antisocial. What else can I say? I was hiding out in my room and just scouring social media and working to bring you guys as much information. We haven't missed a show since I left. So I don't know if that's good, bad, or if I'm crazy, or all of the above. But what I do know is we are now 7 days into the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie, the mother, of course, of Today's Show host Savannah Guthrie, Annie Guthrie, and Cameron Guthrie, a former or retired Air Force pilot. She vanished in the early morning hours a week ago. We're not sure if it was late Saturday night, early Sunday morning, but it was sometime literally a week ago in just a couple of hours. And now a week into the investigation, and there have been so many twists and turns, and yet another twist just tonight with the family making yet another public plea. Ransom communications are evolving, law enforcement expanding its focus well beyond the house itself. This is an absolute head spinner. I've been following it from the moment it happened. I go back to last Sunday night. I was talking to my friend Matt Brode, the meteorologist at KVOA, the local Tucson affiliate, one of my very dear and close friends. And it broke that night. And I said, this is going to be a big story. He's like, what do I know? I'm a weather guy. And lo and behold, if I knew just how big it was going to be, I probably would have been in Tucson all last week, because I know Tucson pretty well. And if this continues on, who knows? I might be out there. But without further ado, she is back tonight, and we are happy to have her. Dr. Casey Jordan. She is a criminologist. She is a behaviorist. She is an attorney, and she is the host of the YouTube show, Criminal Appeal. You've got to get on there. You've got to subscribe. You've got to like all those things. Criminal Appeal. She is the host. We've got Tim Jansen. If you're a fan of SDS, you know R. Timothy Jansen, the letter R and O-U-R, former federal prosecutor and a criminal defense attorney. And why do we have a former federal prosecutor? Because this is heating up. The feds are involved, and there's going to eventually be some sort of criminal case here, one way or the other. Tim is also very media savvy and has made some interesting points related to the media. And last but not least, it was probably 25 minutes ago that I called this guy in a panic saying, hey, I need you. And he said, I'm dog sitting for my wife's dog, and the thing's a nightmare, but we love dogs. And I told Jim Fuda that. Jim Fuda, King County, Washington. He was a hostage negotiator and in the department for over 30 years. This guy defies, you know what? Brian Johnson, who's a longevity guru, needs to take lessons from Jim Fuda. Brian Johnson, I don't wish ill on him, will probably be dead by 55. Jim Fuda will live to 155. So take your longevity tips from Tim Jansen, Casey Jordan, and Jim Fuda, and not these nut jobs out there. Jim Fuda, let's get into it. I know I'm absolutely insane tonight. Hopefully I'll calm down. It's not caffeine. It's just getting off a plane in one piece and being home. But Jim, I think one of the things that people don't fully understand is the sort of the difference between a kidnapping and a hostage situation, and all these other intricacies when you're negotiating. So, just from a macro perspective, like a kidnapping and an abduction too. So, from a macro perspective, just break this down for us as best as you can.
Yeah, well, the simple way to put it is that in a hostage situation where it's a hostage barricade and police are surrounding the incident, is that you know where the bad guy is and you know where the hostages are. The problem is with this case in the kidnapping, you don't know where the hostage is, and so which brings up proof of life issues, which is which obviously in this case you're looking at an 84-year-old woman, you're on the doorstep, and is there life, and that's what the family's going to want to know about, as well as the investigators.
Yeah. Now, Jim, I know you've been watching this, maybe not as closely as I have, but you've been keeping tabs on it. I mean, all those years in law enforcement, and you were a hostage negotiator, and we did a special show with you. You've seen some of the worst, including someone who took somebody hostage, taking their own life and taking the person's life as you were trying to negotiate. But what does your gut tell you about this? Does this seem like this is a legitimate set of ransom notes where this woman is being held beyond her will somewhere?
I think that's the $100 question: is are they similar? And the investigators in the background, along with the hostage negotiators, are trying to figure that out. I think the coordination between the hostage negotiations, and it's a team, hostage negotiations team, and the detectives is key, because some of that's going to tie into the investigation and whether they're going to can they prove if these are legitimate notes or not. And one of the questions is, what I would ask is, how is this person going to get paid? If it's cash, that means there's a meetup point somewhere. And if not, if it's crypto, hell, it could be anybody. It could be anywhere. So who knows? And that leaves in for the ones that are not legitimate, and which raises more questions and more problems for the investigators.
Yeah, we're going to go around the horn one time. And then, as you know, or maybe you don't know, but the breaking news tonight is Savannah Guthrie and siblings were back in front of the camera saying that we will pay. And I'm going to play that, and we're going to watch it, and we're going to dissect it. But Dr. Casey, you were with us yesterday, and you're back, which I love. And the show is Criminal Appeal. What do you make a day after we have spoken? I mean, so much stuff happened, I think, from last night to tonight. I mean, they're sort of keying in on some suspect, apparently. The president came out and said that they're getting close. There's another ransom note, and now the family's back in front of the cameras. What is happening here? Try to untangle it for us a little bit.
Gosh, okay. We were literally recording our last podcast together when that recording came out with the family. And then, of course, Cameron came out the very next day. And then we heard what happened when we were online. We heard that there was another communication that had been sent to KOLD. Now, that communication, which we still, certainly don't have access to and don't have the right to see it, was in many ways validated by the news director there, who received it, passed it along to the authorities, would not talk about its content, but said that it was completely consistent with the original email that they had received earlier in the week. Seemed to be the writing, the voice, the tone of the same entity, person or persons. But she mentioned that they weren't asking for anything. And that immediately kind of set off some alarm bells for me, because there had been the deadline a few days ago. And as you know, that was the one 5 o'clock yesterday, and there's another one for Monday. So we've been scrambling to try to figure out, how do they verify this? How will they validate it? How do we know it's really from the people that have Nancy, given that it came through on an email server to the news station that does not allow any videos or photos to be attached? Doesn't mean they couldn't have included a URL taking them to a site with perhaps proof of life. But in the process, while I have been kind of losing faith in the possibility that these communications are coming from a legitimate holder of Nancy, I won't call them the kidnappers, but somebody who could be controlling Nancy, this new thing just came out an hour ago the latest 20-second video, and I know you're going to play it, Joel, with Savannah telling the people who've been communicating with her through the news agencies they will pay. And I have a lot to say about that, but I do want you to get around the circle. The behaviorist in me cannot wait to tell you what I think about that video when I dissect it for its hidden meaning.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is what we call a tease in the business, and that was fantastic. And I'm not even paying her under the table for it, but I should. But Casey, one other question. You've been doing this a really long time, even though you look 27. Is this the most bizarre criminal case that you recall?
Yeah. As far as kidnappings for ransom go, never seen anything like it. My specialty is actually kidnappings for sexual purposes. So sexually motivated captives and their captors. But I've certainly gone through hostage negotiation and training on all of these things. And generally, you do not see them communicating through news agencies. They go right to the family. They get that target in, out, immediately communicate, we want the money, and try to get people while they are completely thrown off their game, desperate, desperate, desperate. You do not see these things dragged out. I mean, unless we're talking about the Lindbergh baby kidnapping so many years ago. They usually don't get dragged out unless things go terribly wrong. So a week and communication through the news agencies, you normally don't want this in the news at all. And yet that is how it's played out in the last 7 days.
Yeah, really well said. And I just want everyone to know, and I know STS Nation feels this, our primary thoughts are with Savannah, Cameron, her brother, and her sister, Annie. I mean, they're being tortured, literally tortured in front of the world. This has got to come to some sort of resolution. My heart breaks for them. You see them on camera. And, you know, this is just disturbing and upsetting and is reminiscent of, you know, literally like hostage video that you see from the 70s in Iran and other places. Just absolutely devastating. Here comes a fascinating comment. Tim knows my mother. I didn't want to ever have to think about this, but look at this. I love my mom so much, but I would need proof of life. Karm, I know you're watching tonight. God forbid you're ever taken. I don't think I need proof of life. I'm just, it's only money, Karm. I'm dishing it out for you, whether I know you're coming back, whether it's legit or not. Tim Jansen, is there any amount of money that you're not paying for your mother?
Well, my mother's been passed, but you know, you can duplicate or separate any other loved one. That would be important. Yeah. This case, and I have to say, I've never seen the police give as much information as they have been giving in these kind of cases. You never hear this. If you compare it to the shootings like in high schools and stuff, you never get as much information as they're giving. And I don't know if it's because he's over his head, but even the FBI, they were looking at the note and responding to questions by the media. And then the president of the United States last night gives this impromptu statement that DOJ has given him some information and this is going to be resolved quickly. And you have to wonder if that was ominous news that was given or were about to be given to the family, because why? I was thinking we're going to have an arrest pretty quickly after the president said that. They're going to have an announcement. No, we see the family wearing all black, giving this statement, wanting to celebrate her life. This case has not been handled well. And I can't blame law enforcement because sometimes, you know, they don't get up there and speak, but they did in this case. Someone is pushing this, maybe because of the celebrity status of Miss Guthrie, but this is not how it's normally done.
Right.
Great point, Tim. Okay, so without further ado, we've got a hostage negotiator, we've got a federal prosecutor, criminal defense attorney, we've got another lawyer, criminologist who's also a behaviorist. We've got all the bases covered here, and this is now the latest video just breaking tonight. We're going to watch it together. I'll probably play it a couple times because it's real short, and we will break it down.
We received your message, and we understand. We beg you now to return our mother to us so that we can celebrate with her. This is the only way we will have peace. This is very valuable to us, and we will pay. We received your message, and we understand. We beg you now to return our mother to us so that we can celebrate with her. This is the only way we will have peace. This is very valuable to us, and we will pay.
Okay, so that's obviously looped twice. Jim Food, I'm going to go to you first. You're the hostage negotiator. There's no doubt here, unless you tell me otherwise, that law enforcement and likely the feds are the ones that told them exactly what to say. Keep it short. This time it didn't seem like they were reading off a script, but take us behind the scenes. What is the tactic here? I mean, you're the guy that would be talking with, the sheriff, the feds to kind of hash this out because you're the negotiator. What is the tactic overall here?
Well, what I see, and Casey, tell me if I'm wrong, but I see one of two scenarios. One, they obviously know more than what they're putting out, and that either that she's passed and they want the closure, or that she's alive and they're willing to pay out for her recovery. But there's more behind the scenes than they're letting out, and I'm guessing that's some tactic that they've all put together. With the negotiations, there's what we always worked with, is I called a think tank. There was the commander in charge, there was the negotiations team, and there was the SWAT team, and they would pass real-time information back and forth to each other to help resolve a situation peacefully. When you don't know the location, it makes it extremely difficult, and there's those other factors that come in to try to resolve this peacefully or to a acceptable conclusion.
I do want to play it one more time because Casey said she has a lot to say about this, and we're going to get to Tim as well on this. Also, I want to get to Tim about, I hate to undermine law enforcement, but the sheriff certainly was having a hard time. And what does that do to the case? What does it do that you keep going back to the scene, etc.? But let's watch this, and then Casey will break it down again on the back end. This is, again, Savannah Guthrie speaking with her siblings on either side. And Tim mentioned they're wearing black here. And I have to say, she looks a little less worn down tonight, despite the circumstances.
Hey, Joel, before you play it, can I just say, all the other notes, they're speaking to their mother.
Mm-hmm.
In this one, they're only speaking to the kidnappers.
Interesting.
They don't mention her mother. They only mention the kidnappers.
Yeah. Jim, did you want to jump in on that?
I was just going to say, that's a great point. I didn't catch that.
Yeah, excellent. All right, here we go.
We received your message, and we understand. We beg you now to return our mother to us so that we can celebrate with her. This is the only way we will have peace. This is very valuable to us, and we will pay. We received your message, and we understand. We beg you now to return our mother to us so that we can celebrate with her. This is the only way we will have peace. This is very valuable to us, and we will pay.
All right, so they're obviously talking to the quote-unquote kidnappers here, but they do invoke the mother's name. Casey, one of the things that's interesting is Savannah didn't say she's very valuable. She said this is very valuable, which is a small but I think big distinction listening to it for the fourth time right there. But please swing away. Tell us what you think here listening to this.
All right, I'm going to take a deep breath and add the disclaimer that I hope to heavens that I am wrong about this. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We said 2 days ago that I was wrong about several. I won't even go down the list. I have been wrong before. And when I predict wrongly and we get them back alive, boy, am I happy to be wrong. Okay. And I also want to remind people I met Savannah more than 25 years ago at Court TV when she was like working the news desk there. I know her, I respect her, and I really mean no disrespect to this family when I think everything about this message indicates that Nancy is no longer with us and that the family knows this and perhaps has received confirmation of this. First of all, they are stoic. The desperation is gone. They are resigned. I'm reading just pure resignation. Camera's looking straight ahead. You're right. They are wearing black. He's unflinching, but Annie is about to fall apart. Annie, when Savannah says the line, "We understand," she's saying, "We understand our mother, I believe, is dead." And Annie can barely hold it together when she says, "We understand." And her face is grief-stricken. It is not hopeful. The message was exactly 39 words, less than 20 seconds. It is straight and to the point because I think they are negotiating to receive their mother's body back. And again, I hope I'm wrong. But basically, when they say, we beg you to return our mother, they mean our mother's body, so that we can celebrate her. You're absolutely right. They mean to have a celebration of life, which is essentially a funeral. And when they finally say the line, "This is the only way we will have peace," we wish peace to people who are grief-stricken. This is very valuable to us. They're referring to the return of their mother's body so they can give her a Christian burial. The return is the value. And I think that there is nothing in there that shows hope, that shows that there is anything left to negotiate with, but they will pay to find that level of peace. And I have to tell you that behind the scenes, by submitting that payment, sending some undisclosed amount of Bitcoin to an account which has been confirmed to exist, they may have a chance and get closer to finding out who is behind this. And if paying means that they can actually discover who is responsible for this, then it's worth any amount of money to them, any amount at all.
Wow, fascinating interpretation. I would not have caught most of that. Here from River Birch, Savannah using the word return speaks volumes. In my opinion, she would have used the word release if she was still alive. You just heard it. Dr. Casey essentially saying she believes that the family knows that the mother, Nancy, is no longer with us. The FBI put a lot of thought in their word choice, and it's fascinating because you just heard Casey say it was 39 words and 20 seconds. So they kept it really short. Now, Casey, before I get to Tim, let me just go back to you. Let me just play it one more time because it's short and this is really important. But I'm going to focus a little more on Annie here, and then I want to get your take on her. Let's see here.
We received your message and we understand. We beg you now to return our mother to us so that we can celebrate with her. This is the only way we will have peace. This is very valuable to us, and we will pay. We received your message, and we understand. We beg you now to return our mother to us so that we can celebrate with her. This is the only way we will have peace. This is very valuable to us, and we will pay.
Casey, what do you make of Annie? I mean, the elephant in the room is obviously, we talked about it many times, Ashley Banfield's initial report that perhaps her husband / domestic partner, I've never been able to figure it out exactly, but either or, that he may have been involved or looked at, and maybe possibly even Annie, she had been mentioned. How do you discern what you're looking at realizing that reporting is out there?
Well, first of all, I have never cottoned to the family theory at all, and I still don't believe it. And I could be wrong. At the same time, I think she's been through a different set of anguish, because not only has she lost her mother to this kidnapping, but her family is under a microscope, and the man she loves is basically been accused with no foundation of being involved in it. So my heart really goes out to her. But when I see her there, first of all, they start the whole video, everyone's looking down. I don't think this is the first take. I think this is the first take that they got through without bursting into tears. Then you see them looking up, and Annie's face is pure management of grief. And when people are grieving, they cannot control the puckering of the forehead, and the chin quivers, and she is barely holding it together with grief. And there's just so much going on with the body language here that the minute that I just saw them, before I even started doing the text analysis, I was like, oh, they've been prepared for this all week. They've been hoping against hope. And then there's always this moment, I have seen it as a victim advocate for the families of homicide and murder victims, when the acceptance finally kind of just settles in on them and they are just managing their grief and trying to keep their heads above water. And I think that's what we're seeing here.
Tim Jansen, I mean, this is now, including us, a media circus. I mean, you can't get people who are following this case just cannot get enough of it. I mean, we try to keep the victims. I mean, we do as best as we can, but this is such a unbelievable sensationalistic case. And then you've got the sheriff kind of just, off the handle in the early days. Again, just first off, what's your take on the video here? Do you have any specific thoughts on the video?
Well, I know that the FBI carefully crafted every word, carefully placed the people where they were, probably did a couple takes. Clearly, Savannah is enough of a professional. She probably was the only one that could get through this message. They're clearly letting them know they want to pay for her return. I watched this, and I'm watching TV last, and I see Harvey Levin from TMZ saying he knows where the body may be. What has gone on with this case and investigation when we're listening to TMZ, Harvey Levin, say where he thinks the body or she may be held? It's crazy. Everybody's trying to get on this. The experts are doing their job. There's a lot more information that we don't know. And they're probably more frustrated than we are because they're trying to save this woman. They got everybody in the media looking at them. But it looks like I think the gas station gave them some hope. And I think they may be trying to chase that down, maybe a car, maybe a tag. And that takes time. And they may not have the information, but then something came in that either they were told, hey, you waited too late and we can't return her, or we can't give you proof of life. And they verified that might be the same people. We're all guessing. And I'm certainly not going to say any of the families involved, because that is the worst, when you just believe that maybe the family did something. They're going through a tragedy now. And if they didn't or not involved, can you imagine? People will go the rest of their lives thinking they did have something, even though it's like the Richard Jewell case in Atlanta bombing.
Great point. And listen, I've said this many times on the show. You have got to give the family the benefit of the doubt here that they are not involved, but already you see this comment from a Cajun girl, the brother-in-law is involved. There's nothing to indicate that. And the law enforcement officials, Jim Fuda, to you, have specifically come out and said, we do not have a suspect, which means it wouldn't be the brother-in-law. But Jim, what does it do to such a high-profile case? And I know you've had many of them, but where a reporter, and I'm not trying to bash on Ashley, because look, she's a far more successful broadcast journalist than I ever was, and she's been doing it for 36 years, and she got an inside scoop apparently that the brother-in-law and maybe the sister were involved. But what does it do to the case now that they've sort of been dragged through the mud from your perspective as an investigator?
Well, let's start as a hostage negotiator. When you're looking at the proof of life issues, and like I agree with Casey and Tim about about do they know that Nancy's dead for sure, or is it the circumstances that go with it? Look, her age, her medical condition, no meds. Is the doctor involved saying there's no way this lady can survive this long without all those factors? And are they just resolved that they think she's dead? And that would be my as a negotiator of how you proceed from there. And like I said, dead for sure. How do really know? There's no video. There's no nothing up to date stuff. No newspaper up to them with the date and time, that kind of thing. So it throws in so many questions.
Yeah. So Jacob Owens is what they call an MMJ, a multimedia journalist at KVOA, where my friend Matt Broad is the weatherman. And Pima, according to him, Pima County Sheriff's Department vehicle has just arrived, currently talking to a private security individual at Nancy Guthrie's home. Casey Jordan, this happened on our show last night. Authorities showed back up at Nancy Guthrie's home. If you had to guess what this is about, I mean, I assume maybe there's a private security person just making sure no one's going into the house with the high profile nature of this case and everything going on. But, every time authorities make a move here, everyone's watching it. The media is watching it. This is 9 minutes ago. You're watching this Saturday night, February 7th at 9:16 live. What's it tell you that authorities are now back at her house again?
Well, I think we are preparing for, at some juncture in the next 24 to 48 hours, a news update of some sort that is kind of, a response to the video that Savannah just put out. I've also, we keep seeing these ebbs and flows of them searching and descending on the house and going back behind the house, and the helicopters behind the house, and they go away, then they come back. And we already went through my feelings on that. I think that should have been shut down day one. I don't care if they were like, we processed the homicide scene and now we can just release it to family. I've always thought that was a misstep. Of course, it's policy protocol, but you don't always have to follow that. Sometimes you can do things a little bit differently. In any event, we have bandied about a bunch of theories that perhaps this was something that went terribly wrong on day one, right? A home invasion that went wrong, or a kidnapping where they realized that, oh, she needs medicine. What are we going to do? Perhaps there was Nancy demised accidentally, and people panicked. We went through all of these different scenarios, and you have to speculate to try to figure out which of these things might be the most probable. But it has always occurred to me, since people keep going back to the house, that there were clues left there intentionally, or, and I know this seems highly unlikely, that Nancy's is somewhere in the vicinity. I don't know if the home has a basement. I don't know how dense the desert is behind the house, but I am constantly wondering if they are looking for signs of Nancy right on the premises in the neighborhood. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's what happens. But when they send a vehicle back there, it's either because they're getting more information about the location of Nancy, or they are preparing for the media circus that will descend as soon as we have an update on the return of Nancy Guthrie.
Yeah, wow. This is all happening right now, everybody. Michael Ruiz, maybe the best at this. He's a Fox News digital reporter, and he's all over everything all the time. And here's another tweet just crossing. They're looking at the ground with flashlights. Fox flight team just launched a drone. I'm actually surprised they're letting, first of all, I love that they have a name for their drone team, Fox flight team with the sound effects. Just launched a drone video to come. Tim, I'm coming to you, but Jim Fuda, this is, again, you're investigating this case and you got Fox Digital throwing up drones. And I really like Michael Ruiz, and I'm trying to get him on the show. He's tough to get, but he will come on. That's got to drive you nuts that they're throwing up drones. But I mean, Jim Fuda, this is 7 days ago that this happened now, and they're back with flashlights on a Saturday night. I mean, just a flashlight if they're really looking for something, wouldn't you bring in those giant floodlights that you guys use and you cordon off areas? Is this, I hate to, again, I'm so pro law enforcement, but I mean, this is reminiscent at this point of the Keystone Cops. What's happening here?
Well, I got to agree right away with Tim and Casey about that scene should have never been unsecured. If they, especially in the situation with the way the information was, and this is a very odd case. I mean, we had the Green River Killer case here with Gary Ridgway. That was my old patrol district, and we didn't know how to investigate all these outdoor crime scenes at that time. We got really good at it. My agency did it, and like I said, that should have been contained until they had some other information that they knew where she might be.
Yeah. Well, here you go. This is now getting back to the Ashley Banfield side of things. First of all, I love when Tim Jansen's on the panel, and I'm about to go to him because this is but someone said, someone's here. Ashley Banfield said the sister-in-law may be the prime suspect. May is the
Don't say it.
Yeah, then don't, then maybe just don't say it. People quit spinning her words. I don't think anyone is saying that Ashley ever said this definitively. I said she had a source that said that these people, the brother-in-law and the sister, could be involved. You go back and watch the tape. I think that's what I said. But Tim Jansen, I mean, this is absolutely the least of their worries. But do the Guthries need attorneys? Does anyone need attorneys? I mean, what do you do? Because this is such a unusual case. Do you need to lawyer up if you're the family at this point? Because there was a story yesterday that they're thinking of filing suit against Ashley because of this.
That's an interesting point. And John Benet Ramsey's father said they told them to power up a lawyer. And he came out and said, we don't need to power up a lawyer. We lost our daughter. We have nothing to hide. So what, and we're all guessing, assuming what might have happened. What happens if they did get something from the Circle K? What happens if they got that vehicle and they were able to get a bigger image? And when they got that bigger image, they saw a single person in the car, nobody else in the car. And they're thinking, okay, that time frame, and they had 9 hours before she was missing it. Maybe that she was buried on the grounds, because what's the most difficult thing to do is to remove an 84-year-old lady who's got mobility problems, who may have been injured and bleeding. Why not bury her somewhere on the grounds? They drive away. Maybe that's what happened. We don't know. We're all guessing. But I think you have to have multiple people to carry her or get her out of that place the way they did. And I think the Circle K, that film, is important. Today we live in society where you can't do any crime where you're not going to get picked up. Technology gets you somewhere, sometime, someplace. They're going back to that house because all their ends have closed, and they're thinking, okay, let's go back. Then we have that with that husband and wife. They ended up finding the child buried on the grounds. Remember the one that she tried the case, defended herself?
Vallow.
Yeah, Lori Vallow. They ended up finding the child on the premises.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what's going to happen here.
Yeah. COE, I don't know if you're seeing this or if you can pull it, but Mike Ruiz now has that Fox drone up, and they actually have night vision up. So you're seeing what looks like law enforcement looking for something again on the property. Jim Fuda, there was just a question. If God forbid the body is there or in the vicinity, what about the use of cadaver dogs? I mean, I know you're a dog guy, but also King County relies on dogs. Wouldn't a cadaver dog be able to get to the bottom of this if she's in this area? And how close proximity would she have to be for a cadaver dog to do its job?
Not far. If there's a scent, they let our search and rescue dogs would give them an article of clothing, and then they would if there was a scent that they could follow, that's how they work those particular dogs. But said, getting back to if she's buried on the property, that still doesn't help me with any suspects at that point. It could have been an Uber driver, or it could have been the Uber driver that brings Uber Eats or whatever on who might have done this at that time of night. So.
Hey, Jim, just COE, can you take that back a drop? This is now, so just not to get confused, this is not law enforcement drones. This is Fox News with their drone up. If you look here, you can see the dog walking. This is just now. There's a dog lower left side of the screen. It kind of blurs out there, but they've definitely got a dog there. Could there be an other purpose for the dog, Jim Fuda? And then we'll go to Casey on this. This is all, again, I need to bring Casey on, or maybe not, because every time we have her on, there's crazy breaking news the entire way through the show. But Jim, what else could these dogs be doing right now?
That would be my point. They've got, just like Tim said, that there's it could be buried on the property or hidden somewhere else on that property or nearby. But I tell you what, if I was in charge of that scene, I wouldn't let that news drone be over my crime scene.
If I was the sheriff and I'm in Tucson, where the TV station I worked at is called Kagon, I'd take pheasant hunting rifle, Tim, from Thomasville, and I'd blow that drone out of the sky. I wouldn't let him anywhere near that place. By the way, I met two guys, Tim, I probably shouldn't say this, who Tim helped. And maybe or maybe not, they were pheasant hunting from the window of their car, not realizing a police officer was right behind him. That was one of the great stories at Tim Jansen's daughter's wedding. I love those guys, Tim. But Casey Jordan, this is footage from literally just moments ago. This is Nancy Guthrie's home, and you saw what I just saw, which is a bunch of what appears to be either feds or Pima County sheriff's deputies and a dog. What's your best guess about what's happening there tonight, 7 days tonight?
I believe the Guthries transferred the ransom in Bitcoin, and that they have received a piece of information which may be accurate or may be a wild goose chase. This could all be one huge, horrible hoax. And that's actually what I've always kind of believed. And there had to be something in that last communication that was specific enough to make the Guthries gamble on the idea that they could get information that would lead them to their mother in whatever condition she might be recovered. Hey, I don't remember exactly the name of this guy, but I think it was Weinstein, and not that Harvey Weinstein, but he was in his 60s and he was kidnapped in Manhattan, I'm going to guess 30 years ago, and put in a barrel on the side of the West Side Highway, alive, and managed to live there for a week because he was a Marine and he just did mental exercises until they finally got him. Look it up. Okay. And I'm pulling this out of my encyclopedic knowledge, so forgive me if I've got a few facts wrong, but you just never know what kidnappers will do. And as I have been just ruminating on this case all week and how it doesn't fit any nice little textbook kidnapping for ransom case that we would normally have, in our archives, I am convinced, and this is not scientific, it's kind of like you just play all the variables around until things kind of click. It's completely intuitive, not scientific. Got it? Because I know I'm going to get a lot of hate mail about this. I have become convinced that this is somebody in the neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And, this is a nice, affluent neighborhood, but do any of those nice 70-year-old boomers have maybe a 30-year-old son who maybe is a ne'er-do-well, maybe has issues with drugs, maybe, you know what I mean? And maybe just spends all of his time in his downstairs basement man cave playing on computers and video games. And I don't know, but I began to catch a profile that just seemed to indicate it's somehow related to this neighborhood. Remember, the dangling floodlight that was described as destroyed, and this is a dark out neighborhood that is not allowed to have floodlights. Did Nancy have a floodlight and the association had to have a conversation with her, and then they smashed it? Somebody, your brain kind of goes crazy late at night trying to figure out who could be responsible for this. But at this point, I truly believe, have some piece of information that is sending them back to Nancy's house in anticipation of finding something there. And whether it's Nancy alive or no longer with us, they're going to follow it up. And I'm not sure we need to be on in this, but here we are looking at drone footage.
Yeah, this, by the way, is live drone footage from Fox News Digital that has tens of thousands of people watching this right now. They've got this thrown up on their site. But did I hear you right, Casey? Did you say you think that they paid the Bitcoin ransom and are now working off a tip, maybe in exchange for that tip, for that information?
That is what I would predict at this point. I think that's the highest probability, taking everything into calculation right now. Because remember, there was a Monday deadline and they just said, we will pay. And it doesn't take, very long for Bitcoin to transfer. So I think the money has been received and they've gotten a piece of information. Whether it's real, authentic, or all part of a horrifically cruel hoax remains to be seen.
Wow.
It's the only reason they'd be doing it. It's the only reason they'd be doing that at nighttime like this.
Right.
Yeah. They got
Jim, expand on that. Expound on that, please. What do you mean?
Well, to Casey's point is that money might have been transferred. The family comes out with that plea. A piece of information comes in, and then they hot-footed back there to look at the scene again. There's no reason if something didn't come in that they felt was critical, why wouldn't they wait till daylight? They're doing it. It's dark out there.
Yeah. By the way, we have so many new viewers on this story. If you don't know Surviving the Survivor, now you do. It is named Surviving the Survivor because my mother, who's in that little photo behind me, she is a child Holocaust survivor. She's also a licensed therapist for 40 plus years, and she hosts the show one day a week at 86, the oldest true crime podcaster in all the world. We started off not as true crime, but it fits. I'm a former Fox News correspondent. So our whole team, our broadcast news people, please, if you can, if you appreciate the content, hit the like button, hit subscribe. We've got a active Patreon page, and join us 7 p.m. Eastern every night of the week. We've got a panel show like this, and Fridays 1 o'clock, a little lighter fare with my mom, who still brings the goods. And I'm going to get her on maybe as soon as tomorrow. She has unbelievable intuition, and I want to get her take. I just haven't been able to talk to her because I've been traveling around like a lunatic. But Tim Jansen, Casey said something really interesting, and I've seen this discussed by other people who are experts in behavior and crime. They think that the person who is likely responsible is local because they seem to be getting information from local TV stations too, local news. Just curious, you're obviously a smart guy that follows these sorts of things. What do you think of that? You think that's likely?
Well, people are comfortable. That's where they mingle. That's where they would send messages, someone they know or some location they know. I can't help but look at that big house and an 84-year-old woman that's got ambulatory problems. She has to have housekeepers. She has to have someone clean the house. Someone is going in there and giving information. I mean, somebody, maybe not a family, but a housekeeper or a friend of a housekeeper, someone knew enough about that house to get in and get out. That's I think going to be involved. Could be somebody local or somebody that works there that has local ties. But I think that's a great point by Casey. Maybe they paid it. They gave them a tip, and they're immediately going to go run and follow that tip because if that's credible, then maybe they only gave a part of the money, and they say we'll give you 10%. You give us a clue. Then that's a great point. And because there's no reason to go there at nighttime, the scene is cordoned off by now, but they do want to find her or find clues. I think this is going to be an interesting case that we'll talk about for years, about how it was investigated, how it was committed, and how they can prevent it and investigate it better in the future.
Yeah, I just want to say one more thing. People think maybe we're bashing Ashley on the show. I know Ashley. I'm friendly with her. I've been on her show. I think she's an amazing reporter. She always has been. She jumped early with this, and honestly, I probably would have done the same thing. It's hard to say in hindsight, but it has become something that I don't think she ever thought it would become in her own eyes. So I don't think anyone's bashing Ashley. I think she's a phenomenal reporter. I think and by the way, there's still a chance that she's going to be 100% right. There's still a chance that she will be right. And if she's not right, people gamble and make mistakes. I've been burned by sources. So
she'll be like Geraldo, right? With the safe, Al Capone safe.
I guess to a degree, but I mean, she will survive, and she will,
sure.
She's just taken, she took a gamble on a big story. And, I think most reporters would do it is what I'm saying. So, there you go. And I look at her much differently than Harvey, Levin, and I'll let you guys just figure out what I mean by that. 5 surviving. The COE is all nervous. She's like, move on. Aurora Aura here, gifting 5 Surviving the Survivor memberships. Thank you so much. Very generous. So let me just get Jim Fuda. Let me get into this with you and Casey a little bit. So the ransom note, still obviously a major focus because we're talking about it right now, but authorities openly acknowledging them. One person has already had a first court appearance for being a hoaxster, for it being a hoax, and had a first court appearance. But the latest ransom note apparently references security systems and alarms specific to the home. It mentions camera. It raises concerns about obviously inside knowledge of or surveillance. But yet a lot of homicide detectives who I've spoken to, are remaining divided about whether this is a true ransom or not. But I mean, what do you do in your situation, Jim, if you're at the King County Sheriff's Office and you get a ransom note that sounds like whoever this person is or people are, that they know what they're talking about?
Well, that just comes down to the credibility, and you get a think tank together to go back and forth, kind of like what we're doing here. But what's credible? What doesn't seem credible? And it kind of narrows the scope. Then, if somebody knew where our cameras and things were, it makes sense now that it's a local person. And you get several different ransom notes. Do they all add up? Are they all either in the same handwriting, or they using a cutout from magazines? And if it's not the same people, there will be discrepancies that will be easily factored in to decide if they're credible or
not. Your thoughts on this, Casey? I mean, I assume you've got to take it. You got to take it seriously, which it sounds like what they're doing, and that's why they might even be back at the house right now, working on this. But all along, I think you believe that this is likely true. You even went on. I just wanted to follow back up about this. So people keep asking about a septic tank system. Jim, real quick, I would assume that authorities, if there was a septic tank, that'd be one of the first places they'd be looking, right, Jim?
Well, yeah, and like Tim said, if they're digging, there's going to be some loose dirt there. What have we seen before, where they've taken up floorboards in a shed and under that way, where that loose dirt, that the fresh digging isn't looked at. But yeah, I would think a septic system would be a place to look for sure.
Yeah. So back to the ransom notes, Casey, correct me if I'm wrong. I think you said yesterday, not only do you believe that this is probably legit in some manner or another, but that likely more than one person could be involved. If I'm right about that, explain why you think that.
Okay, that's going with the initial theory that she was abducted from the house and probably departed in a vehicle. The other theory is that she never really departed the vicinity of the house. Again, the neighbor theory, right? Came on foot, took Nancy out of the house on foot. She can go 500 feet. And then maybe something went terribly wrong. The bottom line is that it is hard to pull this off and get her out of that house and to a remote location without being detected by yourself, which is why I always thought it had to be more than one person. That said, as the week has gone on, and again, our theories are allowed to change as we get more and new information. I have just been like, first of all, the 3 days before a communication came in, they asked for proof of life. I do not believe we have ever gotten any of it, right? Mm-hmm. I don't think that if Nancy has demised that it's a recent thing. I think it happened early in the game. And that said, and we just did this with your Phil and Phil, my co-guests 2 days ago. They're like, do not underestimate the ability of people to panic and do really weird things that are completely off script, completely not part of the game plan. So it's entirely possible that people came planning to remove her from the home. Maybe she suffered a health crisis and didn't make it out of the home. And then what? And then what? And then what? It may seem illogical that they wouldn't just like back out of the home and leave her there. But as the Phils pointed out, people do crazy things. Could she be secreted somewhere in the house? You would think not possible. But hey, I just did a podcast on a UConn professor whose wife killed him in self-defense and kept his body in the basement for 9 months, and he kept pulling a paycheck and nobody went to check on him, right? He was in the basement wrapped in a tarp the whole time. Just as an example, strange things can happen and cops can miss things. I like the idea that there's a dog there. I think if she is in the vicinity, they are going to find her. But I've got to tell you, at this point, all bets are off. I was really going for the hoax theory. If they do find her, then we know this wasn't a hoax. But if they don't find her, we're back to the idea that it could be somebody responsible for Nancy's disappearance who is completely different from the person who just got a whole bunch of Bitcoin. Possible.
Just as this case can't get any weirder with side circus stories, again, Michael Ruiz, I'm keeping an eye on social media, just posted, Tim Jansen,
Yeah.
the Arizona Wildcats have the best basketball team in the country. I think they're still undefeated. Who's spotted there tonight? Just about 5 minutes ago, the Pima County Sheriff, Chris Nanos, who's heading this, is at a basketball game at the very least. Very poor optics at the very least. What's happening, Tim? I mean, I hate doing this because, you don't, first of all, the feds have taken over, but this guy is the lead law enforcement officer and the biggest case ever to hit Pima County. And I was there working there when Gabby Gifford's assassination attempt happened and others were murdered. But should this guy, in your opinion, be at a Arizona Wildcats basketball game while his deputies are at the house tonight searching for something?
Absolutely not. I mean, even if he is the head law enforcement in that state, that county, and he's at a basketball game, and unless his kid is playing or something, he should be filling in the public. He should be coordinating with his deputies. He should be working with the FBI, following leads. Even if he has to answer phone for tips, he should not send a message out that I'm going to go to a basketball game. My job is done here. It's dereliction of duty at the very minimal, and it's really bad optics.
Jim Fuda, I mean, by the way, Pima County Sheriff's released a tweet about 9 hours ago saying, "We currently do not have any press briefing scheduled for the Nancy Guthrie investigation. If something breaks, we will call one immediately and email our media partners as well as we will post here." Sheriff Nanos, who's at the game tonight, is also not granting interviews at this time. I don't think he realizes the avalanche of disgruntlement that he's about to get. But Jim Fuda, you are a sheriff's deputy in King County. If it's the biggest case in the county's history, and you're working your ass off, and your boss is at a Seattle Supersonics, I know they're not there anymore, game. I mean, what's that going to do to your your drive and your motivation, knowing that your boss is at a basketball game?
Yeah. Well, what makes it worse is that the sheriff knows what's going on. He's in because they're letting him know. His undersheriff, his person right under him, his command duty officer, who's ever on, he's being informed as information comes in on any kind of major case, whether one of his guys gets in an officer-involved shooting or something like that, is that he's going to know what's going on, and that yet he chooses to stay at a game, in my eyes, is unacceptable.
I like to be a nice human and give people the benefit of the doubt, even though my wife doesn't always think I am, because I was grumpy tonight getting off the plane. Sorry, COE. That's chief of everything, by the way. We got the chief of everything. Let me introduce everyone. Steve Cohen books the best guest in true crime. It is not a tagline. It is our reality. If you look at our panels against any other panels, you will not find better ones around. And then we've got Space Coast on the West Coast, who's always covering our behinds, taking care of all the tech stuff, putting out the audio podcast on all the audio platforms. And then we've got the greatest mods, and I would say best guest, better community. We do have the best community in all of YouTube, hands down, and they help us out quite a bit. But, I think people should be able to live their lives, but maybe not if you're the sheriff during the absolute biggest case of the look at that cat. What's the kitty's name?
This is Iggy, because I found her at the IGA. She's available for adoption.
And Jim Fuda has his dog, and Tim's got his dogs. We are also a pet-friendly podcast. Make no mistake about it. Casey, back to you on this. So investigators were also back last night while we were on, and apparently additional cameras were found at the home that authorities somehow didn't catch for the first 6 days, and they were removing them or looking at them. And this is a screenshot right here of that. How is that possible if you have all these federal law enforcement officers and the Pima County Sheriff's Department and the special jurisdictions, and they're there, and 6 days in, they discover this camera that they say was placed there by someone other than the family? Again, I've asked this question 1,000 times tonight, but what is going on here?
And Well, first of all, you can be very sure that the FBI and everyone is talking very carefully with the security firm. Remember, for whatever reason, Nancy's subscription, I believe it's Google Nest, had lapsed, or, sometimes your credit card goes out of date and you don't replace it immediately, and nothing was being recorded. No images were being recorded, right? I think that we've beaten this to death with like a dead horse, but what about the security people? Who knows that it was working or not? So you're going to be looking at those service providers. But also, it just occurred to me, whoever was there for, we know 43 minutes, but we also know that it could have been longer, right? They're saying between 1 and 4 a.m. All right, so a 3-hour window. I've been wondering if whoever is responsible for Nancy's disappearance bugged the house so they could hear every single thing that was going on in there during the investigation. Now there's this camera up there that they're not familiar with. In other words, how sophisticated is this operation, right? Did the kidnappers literally put a camera there so that they could monitor all the happening that was going on? Our minds are just kind of blown with this, but they were all over the roof the other day, pulling up wires and everything else. And I was like, oh, wait, Nancy had security cameras that they didn't know might be working. And now we hear that nobody has any previous knowledge of these cameras. I don't know. Somebody said the word Keystone Cops before. It just kind of is echoing in my brain.
Yeah. And Casey, just back to you on this super chat here. And thank you very much to Lewis. I agree with a housekeeper theory, but wouldn't they also need help from someone in the family? How would they know she would be alone that night? What if it was someone, like secondary or tertiary to Nancy Guthrie, like a caretaker or someone that would, pick her up, 3 days a week to take her somewhere, a home aide, something like that. You've got to think that they've talked to all these people, including the Guthries themselves, about this by this point, right?
That should have been the very first order of business. Everyone in the inner circle and who has access to the house, the family and all the service providers, they have no suspects, but everyone's a suspect from day one if they have knowledge of the house, the opportunity and the ability, and then the motive. That's the real question. Listen, over the years, I don't know how many years she's lived in this house, but I think it's many, many, many. Hundreds of different service providers could be in there, including friends and neighbors, right? I think we will end up finding out that the person responsible is not even 6 degrees of separation away from Nancy, probably 2 or 3 degrees of separation away from Nancy.
Someone's mentioning, Ladybug is mentioning the Circle K person. We're getting to that. I promise there's a lot to cover here. We're getting to that. And then after we get to that, we'll get some final thoughts. But Tim Jansen, how do you, if you, again, you're doing criminal defense now, but at one time, you were a federal prosecutor. The feds now are basically the lead on this from what we're seeing. But how do you ensure that a guy like Tim Jansen is not going to eventually come in representing whoever is caught in this and say, this was the worst police investigation I've ever seen. They were back. They released the scene. People like Brian Enton were at the front door filming the blood. Tim, this is a gold mine for you as a criminal defense attorney already. How problematic is this if this eventually goes to trial, which it likely will once this person is caught?
Well, it really depends on what evidence is going to be used to prosecute the person. If the evidence is found at a crime scene that wasn't, the chain of custody was broken, it was contaminated, sure. But if the evidence that they get is not tainted by people being at the scene, or maybe the evidence is gathered by the emails that are being sent to these stations, or the Circle K leads them to somebody, or they find the body, right? Say they find the body and they get DNA on the body. That really has nothing to do with what the lack of inside the crime scene, unless something inside the house then points to a suspect. And you can say, well, they develop a suspect because of Circle K, and then this happened to be found there. Then you got the old OJ who planted the glove, at the location. But of course, a defense lawyer is going to look at that and say, listen, anytime you have a murder or a homicide, you've got to say who came in and who went out. And when you got media people on the front steps where the blood was, it's bad. it opens to a lot of questions and cross-examination.
By the way, I saw the COE mention it, chief of everything, my wife. We will be doing, I read that super chat, COE. You were pulling up video when I read that super chat. I'm always one step ahead. We will be doing a show tomorrow. If you want to know what time, you're going to have to follow me on Twitter or X at Podcast STS and on Instagram at Surviving the Survivor. And I'm not trying to hold you all hostage over my Twitter account. It's just I have no idea what time we're doing the show. It's always family first at Surviving the Survivor. My kids got T-ball in the morning, soccer at 2, and we've got a thing called the Super Bowl tomorrow night. My guess is around 4 p.m. tomorrow or 5 p.m. Or maybe I go head-to-head against the Super Bowl, and we get one more viewer than they do for the Super Bowl. We have 79 million people watching Surviving the Survivor tomorrow night. It is possible. I've always said one day we will be, forget Bad Bunny, one day STS will be the Super Bowl halftime show. I've said this from day one. Still got a little ways to go, but it'll happen. You got to think optimistically. Leslie K. Newman, super sticker. What about the very small 2-minute window of the opening and closing of the garage door? Casey Jordan talked about this. Casey, run back through that for us.
Well, okay. So we had the timeline, and we know that, the son-in-law dropped her off at around 9:48 at night. And the biggest thing is that the security system logged that the garage door opened. So many of us go in through the garage door. Now, she wasn't driving, but there would have been probably, I'm guessing, a keypad on the side. Hit the keypad, go in. That way you don't have to carry your keys with you, right? And it's probably easier for her with her mobility issues to enter through the large garage door than to struggle with that heavy burglary gated door on the front of the house that we've all seen in the pictures. And then once you get inside, you just go easily in through the side door into your home. So what stuck in my craw, as we used to say in Oklahoma, is that there was a 2-minute lag between the door opening and the door closing. And that bothered me, because we know that home invasions can happen when people just sneak in through the open garage door when the person's not paying attention, or even do a little shoulder roll under that door just before it hits the ground. But 2 minutes of the door open, maybe she was fumbling for her keys to get into the interior door, or maybe somebody came in behind her or was behind her or waiting inside there who may have taken her under their control and then close the garage door. Where's the button? Where's the button? Where's the button? 2 minutes, right? Before the garage door closes. We don't know for sure if Nancy closed the door or if somebody else did, right? So the 2-minute lag, most people go in, bam, in the house, hit that remote control on the side of the wall by the interior door, and the door closes. I just keep getting this feeling that whoever did this knew the house, knew it very well. And I'm not going so much with service provider as I am neighbor. But maybe we will never, ever know. I do think they could have gained egress through the garage door.
Yeah. One of the fascinating things about it, I've never gotten so many emails with theories about this particular case. And then you've got Cajun Hot Spice with a $20 super chat. Thank you. Check airport hangars, ? Anyone upset with her brother? It's much more likely, in my opinion, someone's going to be upset with the sister, Savannah, who's all over the Today Show every day. But upset with her brother, a retired lieutenant colonel. Guthrie was an F-16 pilot, flight, track aware, private planes can leave and return within that day. Who knows? Now, there's so many variables and possibilities here. We just don't know. I want to play something here because now there's also talk of a possible person of interest at a Circle K, and that involves this piece of video. Let's watch this, and then we'll talk about it.
Okay, that's
Which one?
this right here.
That Bronco is FBI?
I'm sure. I don't know if it's FBI or just TPD.
Or what?
Or TPD.
These are reporters discussing this.
Oh, really? So just plain clothes?
Yeah. She had a badge.
There's a video of them at a Circle K.
But I don't know if he was like something else.
Yeah. Did you get any foresight that they were coming?
No, they didn't.
They showed up.
They just showed up.
Oh yeah, look at there's their badges.
That's why I could tell. That's why I remembered what time they came in, just because it was like this guy here.
So Friday at 1:58.
So just to be clear, because I introduced it haphazardly, those two people, it's the reporter speaking to the manager at Circle K, who is now showing her the video surveillance, and you see the two Pima County sheriff's officers walking in. So I'll take it back again. The reporter speaking to the Circle K manager.
She had a badge, but I don't know if he was like something else.
Yeah. Did you get any like foresight that they were coming?
No, they didn't. They just showed up.
Oh yeah, look at there's their badges.
That's why I could tell. That's why I remembered what time they came in, just because it was like this guy here.
So Friday at 1:58 p.m.
Yeah.
Can I see the view of them inside at the counter?
Why is this guy showing this to this reporter?
I have no idea. He's probably fired by now, but
I'm sure.
yeah,
Absolutely.
you should not be showing it to the reporter.
Yeah, there they are.
But look, if you're a reporter, you're going
Do
to
you remember what they asked you about?
Well, I understand the reporter.
They could see camera footage.
And what did you give them?
They came back here.
It's the Wild West.
And then that's about it.
All right. So he said that's about it. It goes on a little bit longer. But Jim Food, I got to come to you on this. So detectives in the FBI canvass the area between the two Guthrie homes, but they're also apparently now seeking, as we said, COE had just had that up there. They are seeking a video of an unidentified male. That's what this video is about. Reviewing footage tied to a Circle K convenience store that we just looked at. It marks the first time an unidentified individual has been publicly referenced in this way during the course of the story. It's important to note that there are still no actual suspects, no one named person of interest. But what do you think's happening here? They got some lead? I mean, this has to be I know they have to follow every lead, but what brings you and your colleagues in law enforcement to a Circle K?
When I looked at it, if she was taken sometime in the middle of the night, this is broad daylight. So there must be some other information that might tie that together that made them come look at Circle K. I don't know. Tim, your thoughts?
I think it's like the Kohlberger case, right? They went there to see if they could see any cars. It was in the middle of the night when that garage closed. So they're looking at any car or any person that would have been around that area at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, just to maybe help them start looking at leads, looking at cars. They did that in the Markel case, and they were able to find that Prius. They're really searching everywhere they can. But what you showed us has no semblance of relevance. And if there was anything relevant, the FBI would have taken that stuff, would have given a subpoena to that guy, and would have locked it all off, and a reporter wouldn't have been able to go in there and see anything.
Tim, curious on your thoughts. Is she still alive? Difficult question.
Well, I don't know, but all the graphics, the optics, the wording that was used, everything appears that it's a recovery now, and they want to celebrate with their mom. It's important to them. And when they say we're willing to pay, meaning they were willing to pay for sure ahead of time, but they want to reassure them now that if she's not alive, we are still willing to pay. And their facial expressions are so somber. If I was going to bet money, I'm not a bettor, I would say they were told that she's no longer alive.
Ugo Monk, thank you for the super chat. I have a Google Nest doorbell without a subscription. My video is saved to my Google Home app, not the cloud. They check her iPhone. They've had to, if they didn't do that by now, then we're all in a lot of trouble. But I'm sure that they had to do that. Now, Casey, just a couple more quick things, and then we're going to get final thoughts. But apparently, I think it was last night when we talked, they went back and seized a blue Subaru and some sort of electronic device from Nancy Guthrie's home. And that's after this new message came up, this quote unquote new ransom message. What, if anything, do you read into that? What does that tell us?
Wow. Again, why didn't they take her car earlier? If I was curious about them taking the son-in-law's car, which kind of started the whole shebang about the family theory. And it occurred to me they're looking for a tracker on there, right? Or the Subaru, I believe, belonged to Nancy. I don't think she was driving it much these days, if at all, because of her mobility issues. I think that perhaps they were just looking for any clue related to the car. And when I heard it was coming out, I was like, please tell me they've looked in the trunk by now, right? Things like that occurred to me. But I mean, at this point, I just think we need the world's biggest bale of hay because we're just clutching at straws. And I don't mean to be cute about this, but we need to just sit back, especially if the news is going to be bad, and remind ourselves that we might know 2% of everything that the FBI, the police, and the Guthrie families know. And, I'm as curious as the next person, but I would always just kind of end up by saying, if first of all, that sheriff needs to leave that game and come home, because it screams that he believes she's no longer with us and doesn't care and feels like the case is closed and done already. And that bothers me. But secondly, I would just say, as the news unfolds in the coming 24, 48 hours, I really just hope we can all just back up, put our curiosity to rest, and let the Guthrie family deal with whatever comes next.
Really well said. According to Jacob Owens, again, this multimedia journalist at KVOA, which is the NBC affiliate, Pima County Sheriff's Department has left, and he got a quote. "Everything is good. They're just checking in," is what the security person at the house told members of the press. He says PCSD does so periodically. I know he's just doing security, but everything is good is probably not the best way to phrase it. Thank you. This is really a fascinating show. For those who do not know, now you know Jim Fuda. He was with King County Sheriff's Office, which is Seattle, for over 30 years, and worked for a long time as a hostage negotiator, the kind of guy that they would bring in if they could get someone on the phone to talk with authorities. Got to this one too, COE. I'm always a step ahead. But Jim Fuda, to you, your final thoughts here. I mean, this is just such a surreal case, so many twists and turns. I guess from your vantage point as a hostage negotiator, what do you need to really negotiate? I mean, I guess you need a person, and your final thoughts.
Yeah, my final things are, when I think about it, I ran a canine unit for 5 years, and we'd have a robbery. A guy would run out of a 7-Eleven store, and we get the dog and we chase it, and then the scent ends, which means they got in a car. Here at this case, there's blood on the frickin' porch. Did the CSI team check blood drops anywhere else on the property that or had a cadaver dog there from the start that might eliminate, especially if it seems to be these tips are coming right back, and it makes sense that they are that they think there's something credible because they're doing this at nighttime that I've mentioned before. So I said I hope they find her. My heart goes out to the family, and I agree that they're going to need their privacy, and they're going to need to grieve without people hanging down their throats.
Thank you, Jim, and kudos to the pup. We love barking dogs on this show, but he was quiet the whole time, man. Now you're gonna have to go walk him.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous, but and let me add, I'm the DNQ here that did not qualify. I got called 25 minutes ahead of time to be on this show. So, but if Joel hadn't begged,
yeah, I did beg. By the way, just a side note, I met the COE, the chief of everything, reporting in Tucson, and I'm smart. I knew it was a long game. The COE is pretty, and all the guys were, vying for her. But what did I do? I offered to walk her dog, and I walked her dog. Good old Zilla. Zilla, and by the way, Zilla is named for Zilla County in Washington State, Jim Fuda. Zilla was terrified of everyone but me. She was terrified of the COE. May she rest in peace. She was affectionately known as Killa. The reason I wear a rose on my Yankees hat is because Mabel Rose is my beloved puggle who almost made it to 17, and Killa and Mabel were inseparable. Jim, we didn't know we were doing the show till we landed in Miami. We're your fans, says the COE. Tim Jansen, you know we're all fans of Tim's. Tim is a regular on Surviving the Survivor. Again, former federal prosecutor, a very savvy criminal defense attorney, smooth as butter in court. He's rooting for the Patriots because he spends a lot of time up in Cape Cod. I think I'm rooting for the Seahawks. By the way, Jim, you got to be rooting for the Seahawks here in Seattle.
You're going to say you were doing something in conjunction with that I won't be available for that, no matter how much we try.
Oh, look at this. We've got Seattle and the Patriots, New England, right on the bottom of the screen here. Tim Jansen, I'm going to leave it open-ended. This is a crazy, crazy case. And you've seen a lot of crazy in your life. Your final thoughts on this?
Well, the one thing that always stuck in my mind, I didn't understand. Why would they make an 84-year-old woman take an Uber to their house? Why wouldn't they have gone and picked her up if she was that old and ambulatory? They said they only lived 10 minutes away. Why would she go to dinner that late if she's 84 years old? I mean, most 84-year-olds I know, they're in bed by 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock.
Mm-hmm. Not Karm.
Well, yeah, but does she take Ubers? Is she taking Ubers to your house?
What's crazy is my mom still drives, and she shouldn't have been driving at 35, let alone 86. But she takes an Uber. She takes an Uber every once in a while. But I don't know. I've said it before. Like there's 86 and 84-year-olds, and then there's 84 and 86-year-olds. You know, I didn't know her. I obviously don't know Nancy Guthrie, but I don't know. Here's another super chat. Thank you, Tim. Is it possible that they're somehow connected to her pacemaker via her cardiologist and know it's no longer functioning? I don't know enough about this. I do know that there are some tech companies that are able to sort of hack into, I've read this, into pacemakers and know. Casey might know some more. Dr. Casey Jordan, she's a criminologist, a behaviorist, a lawyer.
Doctor too now.
A medical doctor. She's an everything doctor. She's a host also, most importantly, of the YouTube show Criminal Appeal. You need to sub, like, and do all that as you do need to do that here. Please hit the like and subscribe button on the way out, and Patreon is an option as well. But Dr. Casey Jordan, you get the final word. Do you think we're getting close to a resolution here one way or the other?
I think that's the way to phrase it. And no, I'm not that kind of doctor, but I think that this will be one for the textbooks. And at some point, I mean, my big fear all week was that we would have no clue, right? None at all. That whoever was responsible for this has just disappeared, especially if we don't have Nancy with us any longer. They just were like, screw it. There's no way we're going to get any money. But talk about being in it for the long game. Whoever is sending these messages is determined to get paid. And that kind of determination, I don't care how good you are with your cyber security and your digital forensics and all that stuff, they will find you. They will find you. They will track you down, and they will get you. So, two closing thoughts. My heart is absolutely with the Guthrie family. I mean, I am so sad this evening because I am beginning to accept, based on this latest video that they put out, that they are resigned to the fact that Nancy will come home, but perhaps not alive. And my second thought is, crime doesn't know what time it is and justice doesn't care. That is what we say at the end of my podcast, because it means no one's going to rest until we find out who's responsible. And I'm confident they will catch these people.
Yeah, and it doesn't end here, even though I want it to end. We're going to stop in a second, but I got to tell you, there's more just news coming out from Fox News Digital at this hour. Casey, more activity now back at Annie Guthrie's. Now, this is the sister, Annie Guthrie's. Michael Ruiz, you should be following him on X if you want information. He's fantastic. He's headed over to Annie Guthrie's. He's being told it's the same vehicles that arrived last night that were just there for 5 minutes. We just lost Jim Fuda. But Casey, if you had a guess, and I know these are guesses at this point, why do you think they're now back at Savannah's sister, Annie Guthrie's house?
Well, because I think that that's the, if you will, the war room for all the family to gather as the information comes in. And if the vehicles are returning there, given all of the stuff that we've been hearing for the last few hours, it might be to deliver some news to them. I don't think it's to make an arrest. I think it's to deliver some news.
Okay. Again, Jim, sorry we lost you. We were
He's
just
back.
he's back. We were just getting some word, Jim, that authorities are now at the sister of Savannah Guthrie, Annie Guthrie's house. Casey just said she thinks it's just to deliver some news, maybe not to make an arrest. Do you agree with that at this point? What are your thoughts?
I would think so.
Mm-hmm. I love it.
Maybe the money was paid, and they're verifying that the money was paid, or maybe it tied to somewhere. Who knows? But something's happening.
Yeah, and I'll say this. I'm going to echo Casey here, and I don't think we can say it enough. Sorry to cut you off there, Jim Fuda, but this is what it's all about. It's about the family. My heart goes out to Savannah Guthrie, who I don't know, but I know people who do know her, like Casey and a lot of others. She's the host here of the biggest morning show, the Today Show. Her brother Cameron was an F-16 fighter pilot. You don't get any, more intense than that in this lifetime. So, and he served the country, and the sister Annie. So my heart goes out to them. This is just, you're watching torture unfold in real time for this family. And I hope that they can get peace real soon. And we will be back tomorrow. Again, please follow me on Twitter at PodcastSTS, on Instagram at Surviving the Survivor, where I will post show times as soon as I know them. Hit like, hit subscribe. Love you all. Love you, America. Love you, Seattle. Love you, Tallahassee. Love you, Connecticut. And are you originally from Oklahoma, Casey?
Gosh, I've been everywhere, as they like to say. I'm born in California, kind of raised in upstate New York, then Tulsa for a good 12 years before I moved to New York City and landed in Connecticut. So,
Well, I bring it up because your friend Phil Waters last night, he's an Okie from Oklahoma. So go Okies. But Super Bowl 60 tomorrow. We're going to be bringing you this news no matter what is going on with that Super Bowl. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you all. Guys, stick around 1 second.